Okay, I see we have some people joining, and we're going to give it one more minute here. Let a few more people come in, and we will get rolling. Thank you all for being here today. It's going to be an exciting conversation. Okay, people are coming in. Great. Don't worry, I will do some housekeeping and get you all prepared for what's happening today. Okay. Okay, well, let's go ahead and get rolling. We'll do some housekeeping and whatnot. So we'll give people still a little bit of time to come in. But thank you all again for joining, and we appreciate y'all's flexibility with having to postpone this webinar. We're so happy to have you all here this week. It gave us a little more time to get a few more people in the door too, which was good. So thank you again for joining. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Carice Sacco, and I am the Executive Director at Well Aware. And today we have a very special conversation happening, one we don't actually get to have a lot or share with you guys. We will be joined today by Sarah Evans, Well Aware's founder, and Mike Matuku, and he is our lead project manager in Kenya. He was actually one of Well Aware's first ever paid employees, which is very exciting. Mike has been with us since the beginning, and we'll tell you guys a little bit more about that today. But before I have Sarah and Mike join me, I'm going to do a little bit of housekeeping for you guys. First of all, we do have Q&A, so if you have a question for either Sarah or Mike, or just about Well Aware in general, please do feel free to submit that through the Q&A. We are recording today's session, so we will be sending out the recording to all registrants later this week. And we have disabled the chat, so if you have any questions, please submit them through Q&A. And if your question is for Sarah or Mike in particular, please be sure to note that in your question so I can ask the right person. So I know we've got some new faces, new people joining us today. So I do want to scroll through a little bit of Well Aware information for you guys today, just so you have all the background info you need before we bring Mike and Sarah on. So Well Aware has been implementing clean water systems in East Africa for about 11 and a half years now. The first ever system was implemented in January 2010, which is very exciting. And over that time, we've done more than 70 projects. We're actually closer to 80 at this point. We just need to do some number updating because we've been very busy this year, which again, Sarah and Mike will tell you all about. And over those 11 years, we have impacted more than 270,000 people through clean water. So through our campaigns and our fundraising and support from donors like you guys, we are able to make this work possible. So that's just some high level numbers on Well Aware. And one thing that really sets us apart is that we have a 100% success rate, meaning that every system or water project we've ever implemented is still up and running and providing clean water to the community that it's in. And we're able to do this through a handful of different ways, one being our team of technical experts. So we have volunteer hydrogeologists and engineers who volunteer their time to oversee the planning and implementation of these projects. We have those tech experts here in the US and in Kenya, and they're all very involved and in-house with us. So we have those guys helping to lead our projects. We are also very community driven. So the first step in any of our projects is the community applying for a project through us. We never just show up in a community and say, hey, we're going to give you clean water. The community initiates this partnership. And then we work with them every step of the way to ensure the long-term success of these systems. And then we also do ongoing maintenance. We never just implement a system and leave. We have long-term relationships with these communities to help with any maintenance needs or expansion systems down the line. So we're very involved, long-term relationships to allow for the long-term success of our systems. With that, I am going to stop screen sharing here, and I am going to ask Sarah and Mike to go ahead and join us. Let me ask Mike to start his video, and unmute. Sorry, Mike, I think I just accidentally muted you again. There you are. Okay, well, I'm going to pass this off to Sarah and Mike. I'm going to drop off, but I will be back at the end to help answer questions and get questions to Sarah and Mike from you guys. But thank you again, everyone, for joining us, and I will be back at the end. Sarah, you can take it away.
Thank you, Grace. That was excellent. And Mike and I are both really, really happy to be here. I want to offer my gratitude again to all of you for your understanding. Last week, it was all my fault that we needed to postpone. I'm really grateful that you chose to tune in today at our new time. Mike and I are going to have a really interesting conversation about the impact of our biggest campaign, which is the Shower Strike. It was also our very first fundraiser, and maybe a little bit more about how we met and some of the inside scoop that goes on the projects team side when we get to do these projects. And just so everybody knows, this is Mike's very first webinar ever. And he is very excited. So I'm going to kind of lead the conversation, but he is going to talk to you guys and let you know a lot of cool stuff. And we talked about it before. I think this is going to be awesome, and we'll appreciate your questions so that we can answer those too. So I think I'm going to lead us here, but Chris mentioned most of the basics about Well Aware and who we are and our impact and how we're a little bit different than maybe traditional water charity that you might be used to. That's a picture of Mike and me. So when Well Aware did our first water project in 2010, and actually our very first fundraiser was Shower Strike, and that was in 2019. I met Mike on that first trip, and he's going to tell us a little bit more about that time. But it's fascinating. It's inspiring to look back on those early days when Mike and I were bootstrapping everything and working for free and moving our lives around to try to make this initiative and this organization work, because we knew that it could and we knew that it should. When on my very first trip to Kenya is when I met Mike for the first time. I realized, Mike knew how many of these projects actually fail. And it's not just the water systems, it's infrastructure in general that is implemented with great intention in most developing countries. And so I was inspired and drawn to move forward with this work with Mike. But we also both wanted to figure out how we could do it differently. How could we create a model and a team and a philosophy to create these water systems and this infrastructure that would truly last? And then, also, how do we convey that our focus is results over time and not just that the system is implemented in the first place? So I love, and I'm so grateful to Mike that in the very, very early days of this work, when I wasn't even really sure I was going to be doing this work, Mike really guided my path and my thinking around what it means to have a successful project for these communities. And what it means if we're doing the right thing by them. So Mike helped me understand that, communities have everything they need. They have the plans, they have the community, and they have the organization to be able to thrive, but for just a few resources. And then that's where we come in. But only then. So that is largely why and how Well Aware has had the success that we have to date. And so I'm eternally grateful to Mike. Well Aware would not be here without Mike. And so just to start us off, Mike, would you mind telling our audience how we met and what that experience was like for you? And you can be brutally honest. It's a long time ago.
Yeah, the first time I met Sarah was in January 2010. But we had started doing communication through email back in 2009 when she was preparing a trip to come to Kenya. Having been introduced to me by a couple friends of mine who lived in Austin that time. Then we met and I didn't know where we were leading to. I thought she was just coming here for one trip. But then when we were on my van traveling around looking for what she had brought, what had brought her to Kenya, we discussed about how we can keep on doing water issues. Then somehow Sarah asked me whether, Mike, can you be our contact person on the ground here? Then I said yes. I didn't know whether she was serious, but after having that conversation, I knew at least we are going to look for solutions, because I myself have grown up in a community where I was walking for a long distance looking for water when I was still in school. Then I saw this was a noble thing to go by. Then we started working together. It's very interesting because that time I worked for like 2-3 years without any payment, because what I knew, what I got from Sarah, that she had sold a car and I sold a house to start the office. I gave out what I had, and what I had is my time, which I devoted myself. I didn't even tell my wife that I was working for free for those years. But I could find for time to go and see the project, supervise what was going on. And we were all green. I didn't know about water actually. So neither Sarah it worked for an organization doing with waters, and also new in Africa.
Yeah.
And it has been really a good time.
Yeah.
Sarah, I don't know whether you got to be impressed by me that time, or as time went on, but I think we're in good chance.
I think we just, I don't know. It's just one of those things that you don't know, but right? When we first met each other, I think we realized that there was a path we were going to walk on together, and it was going to be for good. And it was just phenomenal how you stepped up and stepped in to do everything that we talked about. And I was in Texas and you were in Kenya doing all of these things. And like you say, without compensation. Eventually, Mike ended up being the very first paid employee by Well-Aware, but it was all of $150 US a month. And then I was the second shortly thereafter. So Mike, I love that story. And I still remember the first time I met you and being on that first drill site and not having any idea what was really going on with a water system, because as you say, I had no background in this, right? I come from a legal background. Mike was a UN peacekeeper a long time ago, and then in construction and contracting work. And but it's just sort of something that we knew, and I'm so grateful that both of us made that jump to commit to forming Well-Aware and growing Well-Aware, and also devoting ourselves to the mission and understanding what is right by communities. And even though it was very, very hard, very, very hard at times, neither of us have ever even threatened to not be a part of this anymore, at least not that I know of, Mike. So gosh, we appreciate you so much. I will say it again, Well-Aware would not be here without you, Mike. Is there anything else you want to say about your passion for this cause, or what keeps you involved to this day, 12 years later?
Yeah, it's much of the encouragement that I get. It's our technical team that most of them, they've started with donating their time and their expertise. It really gave me more motivation to keep on working, because they've been there anytime I needed an assistance. I just call them, I text with them, I send emails, whatever time it is. As we all know, we are in different working time zone, but every time I send a request, I always get a reply and assistance on me on the spot. The other thing is about our donors, people who have been supporting us all those years. They've been there, they've stood with us, giving out their funds to go to people they don't even know. Some of them, they've not even been here and they are keeping on supporting us. That really motivates me. And I'm not stopping anytime soon. We are going to do what we can. Actually,
Well,
we've learned how to do it and we are experts now.
we are. Look at us, Mike. We're experts in the water sector. I'll say too, though, that Mike and I both oversee teams, and Mike is overseeing a staff in Kenya now, based in Nairobi, and there are 4 or 5 other team members based in East Africa that Mike is overseeing, which is just so cool. So we have a team in Texas, and we have a team based in Nairobi, and we also have those technical experts that Mike mentioned, and those are engineers and hydrogeologists, and they're based all over the United States. But we are also beginning to look at some of the talent that's coming out of the University of Nairobi, so we can bring on some of that expertise locally as well. So that's a good segue to Mike. You talked about the donors. So Shower Strike is our biggest campaign of the year every year, but for last year. So in the year of COVID, we were unable to have our Shower Strike, and that was odd. Shower Strike was our very first fundraising campaign that we did in the summer of 2009, before we did our first water project. Oh my gosh, that was so long ago. Mike, I think I've told you this story, but the people ask often, how did we come up with the Shower Strike campaign fundraiser? And I'm going to tell the story and tattle on myself a little bit about my personal hygiene, but we were sitting around on my floor trying to figure out how we were going to raise the money for this first water system. And one of my friends said, we should just go on Shower Strike, Sarah, because you don't shower anyway. And so everybody laughed, and then we thought, wait, no, that's kind of fun. And we're in Austin, Texas, a city that embraces the weird. So we thought, let's just try that. Let's see if we can monetize not showering. And we set up a really scrappy campaign to receive contributions for the 12 of us that got together at that time to say we weren't going to shower. And lo and behold, in that week, sort of an experimental week, we raised $25,000 for that first borehole. Mike, I know that you got involved in Shower Strike later on, but not in the first few years. Did you think it was weird?
Yeah, I think everybody who hears about Shower Strike, they can't believe it.
Why?
But I can assure everybody that I think I did my first Shower Strike after 2 years working with Wellaware. I think that was about 2013, and for sure I didn't shower for that period, but I raised my money. I raised every cent I really requested for, and all Shower Strikes since then, and any target I've given myself, I can thank my supporters because I've always hit my target. It's very interesting.
Yeah, and it is interesting. It was so successful in a surprising way, but people who participate in Shower Strike consistently say that they pretty easily raised the funds, because it is, like you say, it's a little bit odd when you tell people you're going to not tend to your personal hygiene to raise money. But also we have plenty of loopholes. And for those of you who may not understand what Shower Strike is, it is a peer-to-peer fundraising campaign that we now host in a much more professional way than we did in the beginning. And people sign up on the platform and commit to not showering for a certain amount of time, a week maximum, or until they reach their personal fundraising goal. And it is surprisingly easy to be able to hit that goal. And gosh, Mia, we're so grateful to all the Shower Strikers over all the years who have participated in this campaign, because Mike, I don't know if you know this, but in the 12 years that we've done Shower Strike, because we skipped last year, we've raised over $2 million US from Shower Strike alone. Did you know that?
Yeah, it's a good figure and it's fun.
It's
Fun.
and it's fun. You're right, and it's fun for individuals to sign up and get involved. It's also really fun for companies to get their employees involved and compete against each other. It's also a really good way. It's an easy introduction to the cause if you're new to the cause itself, the clean water infrastructure in developing countries.
And I love it when also the schools join out there in Austin. There's some schools that have joined in the shower strike and they are raising funds.
Thank you, Mike. You're right. So we have so many more schools and classrooms and school organizations getting involved in shower strike now, which is it's so fun. And we often have our amazing corporate partners that get involved and then match the funds that the schools raise. So we have these classrooms here in the US that are learning about the cause and deciding they want to take action and raising some funds for it. And then that benefits a school in East Africa that gets to have clean water. And I love that connect. And I love that we get to be a part of that weird, effective campaign. And so I'm very, very excited too about the projects we get to do this year. Carice touched on this. We had to rearrange a lot of our project work last year. I'm still very proud of what we all got to accomplish, especially you and your team, Mike, without us over there for an entire year. That said, we got to spend a lot of time planning for our new project implementation this year and the years to come. And so we have a huge queue of project work to be done now. We already did 2 new drills back in March. I got to see Mike in Kenya. Catherine and I went and worked really hard and got a lot done and also had a lot of fun. And we have several other projects lined up. We anticipate that we're going to complete 20 new projects this year at least. One of them being very, very special to my heart, but even more special to Mike's heart. Mike, can you tell us about Kauai?
Yeah, Kauai is my home village where I was born and grew up there. And you can imagine for all those years, it's now this year I'm getting my village the very first well for clean water now. People have been wondering, what's this Mike doing for all these years? And I've been telling them, we are raising, we don't have money anywhere. We raise funds from our friends. And when I told them now we are realizing our system this year, they are so excited. And you can see this is the only, where the boy you can see that's where my people used to get water for all those years. It's an open dam. They just dig from the sand and they scoop some water there. But also I've been teaching them how to do roof catchment, but water for roof catchment is not enough because in my area it's so dry, it does rain all the time. We can go even up to 6 months without rain. So this is going to, it's a game changer for my village. And possibly by end of this year, we'll have everything set up. We are scheduled to do the drilling sometimes in July. When I expect the team from Austin to travel here, and we are going to get this thing going on. I'm so happy for those people who have donated for this year because it's my life now. It's touching my life so much. Thank you so much.
And so everybody knows, Mike, I remember in early 2011, shortly after we started this Well Aware thing, you took me to your village and we met some of your family and your friends and a lot of the people who live there and the chief. And you and I both said, we have to do a water system here. This has to be our next one. That was 10 years ago. And over the many, many years, our technical team of experts thought it would not be a wise drill. So one of the things that Well Aware does very well is understanding what is actually beneath the ground and what our likelihood is that we're going to hit water and we're going to hit good water and it's going to be safe to drink. And for so many years, we really did think that it was not going to be a good decision to drill there for for the organization and for the community. And then as technology has evolved, we have new information, and there is new equipment and brand new hydrogeological reporting I just saw from Jeromba. And we know now that we can drill, and we can drill successfully in Kauai, and it's going to happen in 2 months. And I couldn't be happier. I'm going to be there, of course. I couldn't miss it. Because I feel like this is just sort of full circle for the organization. Mike being the reason that we get to do this work at all. And now we get to return the favor to the community where he grew up. I'm so excited. And we're gonna send so many updates and pictures from the field when we're there in July. And Mike, we're talking too much. Okay, it's not we, it's me. I'm talking too much. I think now, what we're going to do is talk a little bit about some of the other projects coming up in 2021. We have so many, but a couple of other highlights. We have a school, oh gosh, Ingrid School. Mike, you want to say a little bit about the Ingrid School where we get to drill in July also?
Yeah, Ingrid School, it's in Nairobi, in one of the slums, very big slum in Nairobi. And this will be our very first drilling in Nairobi on a slum because of some of the challenge drilling in Nairobi, especially in the slums, because of the pit latrines, because they don't have proper sewer lines. But this time we are going to do that for these kids. It's a school that supports orphans and the people, kids from the slums who are less destitute. Their parents have got no much income, and we expect the well that we are going to drill there this year, it will be able to elevate also the standards of the school, because we will encourage them to help people. The well will be able to be used by the people in the slum.
Yeah.
So that will be a very big impact in that area.
That's right, Mike. Thank you for reminding me. I think it's important for people to know too that on most of the water systems that we do for communities, we help them set up a community kiosk in which they are able to provide water to the entire community for a nominal fee, which is really important for sustainability, because then that goes into the maintenance and upkeep of the water system. And then too, if they have excess funding after that, it goes back into the school or facility where that water system is placed. And in Ingrid School, the surrounding community is more than 15,000 people. It's a very dense population there. So they're going to have a huge impact on the community, and it's going to transform this school. Gosh, I'm so excited to see how this changes the school and that area. Thank you for that, Mike. And then Kitengela, which is not too far from where Mike lives right now, is also a really, really cool, beautiful school, also in a densely populated area. Mike, can you give us a quick overview of Kitengela?
Yeah, also Kitengela, most of these kids you can see here on the screen, they've been taken, it's an orphanage. And actually last time when I was there, I was talking to the director. He said most of those kids, they don't even know their parents. They don't even know their siblings. They are most of them, they are brought in by the police, by the government, collected from town, and all of us, others are left in hospitals. So this is, whoever has really we're supporting this project, you are supporting lives that have got no future. But we believe they are going to see their future very well, because there's a very nice school there. And they're also doing agriculture they are growing vegetables for these kids. Yeah. And the family is growing up. I call them the family because they don't know any other place to go, most of them. Others have been brought there from families where they've been abused. So this is one of my projects that I really am very proud of. Actually, among the projects that we've done for those 11 years, this is one project that I'll be very proud of.
Yeah, me too, Mike. I'm so excited we get to also drill at this location in July, just not even 2 months away. Gosh, it's so thrilling. Okay, so we could talk about all the rest of the projects we're doing this year, but we don't have that kind of time. Oh, I love that picture. That's when the water first starts coming out of the borehole when we're drilling. It's so fun. I can't wait. And so let me just say again, real quick before we talk about how you guys can stay involved or be more involved. Again, Mike, I'm so grateful for you. You've changed my life for the better in so many ways. And look at us now, right? Like we have an office, we've got like tons of staff. It's just so cool. I'm so proud of everybody, and just so grateful for you, Mike. Thanks for putting up with me. Thank you for believing in me. I feel like I was so young back when we met, and it was like 12 years ago, but I was a baby.
Yeah, you were very young the first time we met.
I had no idea what I was doing.
Yeah, but, you had a big heart. You had a focus, which you have not lost.
The heart was
It also
there.
made you to get involved and get have that heart to your people.
Right.
Yeah, thank you so much for.
Well, you know, Mike, too, it's like it's because of you that I only just first started to understand what these communities really need and how they can succeed. I think we have a very common, unfortunate Western notion that what works well over here in the US and other Western countries is going to be the right fit for these other communities, and that's just not the case. And you're the one who taught me that was wrong. And I'm grateful, and so are a lot of other people. So how to stay more involved or get more involved? We have a beautiful program that we've been running at Well Aware for the last 10 years or more called The Village. And The Village is a monthly contribution program at any level, really, that you can participate in. So you know that you have a consistent and ongoing impact on these projects and the lives of the partner communities that we get to work with. And for only every $15, you're providing clean water to somebody for life. This is not $15 a month or a year. It is for life. It is a huge impact. It's a lot lower than the industry average for water charity work because we are lean and mean and work smarter, maybe, or more cleverly. And you also get a lot of perks when you join the Village. You get discounts on all of our event tickets. You get a Village newsletter with some inside information, and it's actually just a really fun group of people. If you know another Village member, you know that it's a really great culture, and it's fun, just fun to be a part of. And then, Mike, there are other ways to get involved too. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, we are on social media all the time. You can reach us on Instagram, Facebook, and know what we are doing all the time. You can subscribe and get our newsletter every month.
Yeah.
Then you can be involved and get to know what we do all the time, because we update our social media every time. Thank you so much.
And then for the newsletter and for the social media links and channels, you can just go to the website, which is wellawareworld.org. You can also find a lot of other content there. We have a blog, and we have our origin story and some really beautiful photos. We have some incredible talent that has been traveling with us to capture our work over the years. Carice, hi.
Hi, I'm back. Well, I figured I'd just come back on. We have so many questions coming in, and I'm really excited about them. But I just want you two to know y'all have me laughing and crying and all the things over here watching you two tell your stories. So thank y'all for that. Okay, we have a lot of really great questions. I'm excited to hear y'all answer a lot of these. I can already tell you right now, we're not going to get to all of them, but I am going to just kick us off. Some I'm going to ask to both of you, some I'll ask to one or the other. Please continue sending in Q&A. If you think of more questions as we go here, we'll get to as many as we can. But one I'm I want to hear an answer from both of you, and Sarah, you can kick it off. But Kelly, one of our village members, very dedicated well-aware supporter, she asks for either or, but I'm going to make you both answer. What is the hardest part about your work? Sarah, do you want to kick this one off?
Yeah. Hi, Kelly. I think I know who you are. Gosh, I miss you. Not enough time in my day is probably the hardest part of my job, because I love it so much. It's not rare that maybe I get feedback a lot that maybe I work too much, but my work is also my passion and my obsession and my hobby. And so I just wish that I wish I could do more. And okay, maybe that's not the best answer. My other answer would be, trying to move forward with our work in an ever-changing environment is quite difficult, and that means an ever-changing environment economically here, an ever-changing environment with viruses and pandemics and outbreaks. We have a team of rock stars, and we call ourselves change managers. That's first and foremost who and what we are, and we do a darn good job of it. But it is the most stressful part of the job.
Okay.
Mike, how about you?
Yeah, the most challenge is, every time we do a project, by the time we finish that site, we get like 2 or 3 other requests from within,
Yeah.
and they don't understand when we take time to go back to do the next one, because they want to, why is it that you are not coming to give us a well, and the other village, they got this. Then we try to explain, and when it takes like 2-3 years to get the reality, then it is a stress, because they keep on calling. They tell me, when we get the money, or when we finish up doing because we have to do survey and make sure that we have groundwater. It's a challenge when to explain to the community. Also, the other thing is, you go to those communities, and most of them, they don't even know the water they've been using is not clean.
Yeah.
So when you explain to them, this water is not good, can you get water from the system that you've made? With that, we are providing to you. Some of them, you find them, they are going back to the dirty water, where they were getting the water from the rivers or from the open pools. So that's also another challenge. But we have a community system. We have our community members in well-aware. They always go there to teach them, and it's working. But in a new site, it takes us time to explain to them to change from this to that. But I'm so happy with whatever we are doing. It's going on well.
That's a good point, Mike. Yeah, the community education and training piece, which I think the well-aware community team does a really beautiful job of training around. Karen and Joe are leading the well-aware community team in their Kenyan basin, Kenya. They're so good.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you both. This is a quick answer, and Mike, you probably have got the answer right on top of your head. This is a question from Hannah. How many people live in the village of Kauai?
Now we have about 4,500 people.
Wow.
When we went there first, the population was around 3,000, but it's growing.
It's growing. Okay. Yeah. We got to get them that water.
Yeah. So the borehole we're drilling in July will serve that entire population. That's awesome.
So exciting. Okay, great. This will be, y'all might need a second to think about this one, but this will hopefully a fun answer. What is one of the most memorable experiences you have had together in Kenya?
Oh my gosh. Oh my God, there's so many. Gosh, okay, I don't know. Well, I'll start off. Every single time Mike and I are on a drill site together, and the first even muddy trickle starts coming out around the drill, Mike and I have to hug. We just do. It's every time.
Video a lot of times.
Not like we don't know it's gonna come. It's just it's there, and it's just so beautiful every single time. and I think I remember every time on every drill site that Mike and I have been able to have a big hug after we see that first water. I also still vividly remember the first time we met and driving around in Mike's van, and how awesome and just accommodating and understanding he was. But I'll leave it at that. Mike, what about you?
Yeah, there's one trip I will never forget. We drove from Nairobi to Namanga, then we went to Laikipia, come back to Nyeri. I think we were driving for more than about 14 hours. We were resting after time. We wanted to see several projects the same day, and they were traveling the following day. So we I think that was the first. I think that was either the first or the second visit you came for Wellaway.
Oh, that was the second one. It was the second. Yeah.
So
oh my gosh, we drove all day.
Yeah, we had so much in the back, and we had no choice. Because your tickets were to fly the following day.
And Mike is just like, okay, everybody, this is an inside joke. Everybody inside Wellaware knows Mike says often, yes, Sarah. I'm sure I said, Mike, let's go to Laikipia. He's like, yes, Sarah. It's gonna be an all-day trip. And then we got there and nothing was even there. Do you remember that?
Yeah, and every time we are driving around, we have the whole office with us.
Yeah, everybody was in the van.
Oh my God.
We're all there.
We have the leader, we have everybody on every department is always packed in one car.
I know. I said we were lean. We're sardine lean.
So Carissa can remember that every time.
Oh my gosh.
We can make a decision there.
I would not have
remember that.
You had made me be in the car all day for nothing.
I remember Mike too. At one point I said, we can't drive any further. And Mike's like, yeah, I've been telling you that the whole time. And we didn't even make it to the destination. We turned around and went back. I'm so sorry. I didn't know what I was doing.
Our work is very exciting.
It was exciting.
It's like a family.
Yeah.
It is.
Okay. Like I said, thanks for putting up with me, Mike.
We could sit and tell these stories all day. Those are some good ones, and from the early days too, which we like to hear. Okay, we've gotten a couple of questions along the same vein. People asking, do we normally work with schools, or most of your projects at schools? So do y'all want to dive into that a little bit about, how often we're working with schools on our projects?
I'll start. I think, well, more often than not, for sure, we're designing the entire system around a school or a facility, a school or a medical clinic or a community center or a women's center. I think now, this is a guess, I'd have to go dig, but I think about 90% of our boreholes are either on school property or right next to a school. And that is for obvious reasons. We don't ever put infrastructure on property that is not either school property or community property. And so it makes a lot of sense to be able to drill near a school. And of course, then you have that extra added amazing impact for all kids. The data for girls in particular is really astounding. Most often in these rural places in these regions, girls do not go on to secondary school, usually are in the 8th grade after primary for various reasons. One of the biggest reasons is that once little girls hit puberty and they no longer have a place at school to be able to tend to their hygiene, they miss several days, they fall behind, they drop out. So when water is at a school, plentiful, reliable, lasting water is at a school, it's a game changer for all students, especially girls. And for every additional year a girl is in school, her future income goes up 12% on average, which is crazy.
And also in schools, when we do a system in a school, we are sure that it's a community ownership.
Yes.
So nobody's going to claim the system. It serves everybody.
Yeah, that's right. It's super secure. And it's almost like you have a built-in water committee at that point, because you have the school administration and even the government involved in the care of that water system, which is really, really helpful. Yeah.
Super important part of our process. So,
Yeah.
okay, well, thank you both. And you kind of touched on this a little bit, but I'm going to let both of you kind of dive into this one. And Mike, maybe you can kick us off with this answer, but how long are the wells designed to last? And you can answer this question for any of our systems, but how long are we designing these systems to last?
Yeah, the systems, they have components, and each component has a life, they have their life span. So like most of the systems that we did from the beginning, which are about 8-10 years now, we've gone back to replace the pumps, done some repairs, but the solar system, they have a life of like 40 years.
Yeah.
The warranty is 35-40 years. So that means they'll keep on serving us. We don't replace all of the components, but we do service as the need comes by.
Mhm.
But some of the systems, they live for long. And when I'm talking about going back to do the repairs, it's that means also the cost of running. So it keeps us going back to replace these and all that.
Yeah, the ongoing maintenance.
And
Yeah,
that's
we
a
have to
really
go back.
important part of this work is really thinking about results over time and understanding where needs might arise. And again, the Well Aware community team does a good job of setting communities up to be able to be self-sufficient, but mechanical things do break down. And so when that does happen, then Well Aware is still around, which is lovely.
Yeah,
Okay.
when we do a system, we don't leave it to the community. We monitor all the time, and we are with them to make sure that it's running all the time.
Okay, thank you both. I'm going to ask this one because it's something I ask Sarah all the time. And I'm really liking the idea of throwing Mike into the mix on this one. But somebody else is asking now, have either of you thought about writing a book concerning this kind of work and your story of building Well Aware?
Mike and I have already started working on it, actually.
I'm so happy to hear that.
I know. And we've been talking about it for a few years. And just recently, a couple months ago, Mike sent me a message and he said, okay, about that book. I said, don't worry. I'm working on an outline. It's happening. It's happening.
It's happening. Oh, that's so exciting. Okay. Let's see. Let's do two more questions and then we'll close this out. We appreciate everyone hanging in there to listen to Sarah and Mike tell their story and answer all these. Here's a good one. And I know the answer varies so much and it really plays into our projects process and how we do things. So this question is, how long does it take for a new project to be completed? And I know we're doing a lot of different types of projects, and even the same kinds of projects can differ. So I'll let you two speak a little bit, and Sarah, you can speak to this first on how long it takes a new project to be completed.
Yeah, and Mike touched on this. It is a difficult part of the job to keep communities informed when something is taking a long time. That said, it can be 6 months from the time that we get funding until the time that the system is fully functional, or it could be 2 years. And the reason for that, sometimes it's because of funding and waiting for funding, and sometimes it's because we need to do some more detective work on the groundwater potential, or whatever water solution we're evaluating for that particular community. Because what we don't want to do ever is just throw a system together for a community that may or may not last. And as one of our hydrogeologists says, we don't ever want to poke and hope, or drill and just hope there's water there and hope it's sustainable and that the aquifer will recharge appropriately. So it does take extra investigation sometimes. And we talk about this a lot at Well Aware. We front load our work so that we can set our systems up to be self-running. So the more effort that we put into the planning of the system, the better results we're going to have. And that is so hard, as Mike said, conveying that to communities who are waiting but it's important for the long term and their health and their development that we do it right. And so, sorry, to answer your question, anywhere between 6 months and a couple of years.
Okay, great.
Mike,
Mike, anything you want to add?
Yeah, also as well, we normally give clean, drinkable water. We don't just give water.
Right.
So this period, we take that time to investigate, to know whether we are going to eat good water. If we find in a place we cannot drill and get good water, at least we look on an alternative way to give them water, maybe from a roof catch rain water. That's why it takes time.
That's a good point too. Yeah, more often than not, initially we're looking for groundwater, and if we realize that that's not viable for various reasons, then we start exploring other options, and that does take time. Yeah.
Right. Okay, well, thank you both for that. I'm going to do two more quick questions. One, how many wells will you be drilling this year? And this is from Jeanette. Jeanette was heavily involved in Shower Strike. Again, another very supportive, involved person with WellAware. So Jeanette, I'm so happy you're here today.
Hi, Jeanette. Okay. So we are planning on working on about 30 to 40 projects this year, maybe more. New project implementation, 20 or more. New drills. I don't know off the hip, but I do at least 5, because that will be done this summer, and probably 1 or 2 more in the fall. So 5 to 8 new drills this year, which will actually be the most new drills that we've done in a year, because we do the new deep boreholes, rehabilitation of boreholes, rainwater harvesting, and some pipeline work.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I think it's just so exciting and really speaks to the amount of time we had last year to prep for this year, the amount of projects we're able to do. So I think even at 5, that would be the most drills we've ever done in a year, correct?
That's true. And again, deep boreholes. These are anywhere between 100 and 300 meters deep on a submersible pump that is powered by solar and serves thousands of people. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Well, there are so many other questions, but I know we're coming to a close here. I'll go ahead and answer one more. Somebody asked about our next fundraising event. And again, the fundraising is what makes all of this amazing work possible. So again, if you want to be actively involved in an ongoing basis, we encourage you to join the village if you're able. Even just $5 a month can make a huge difference in the lives of these folks that we're working with in East Africa. But when it comes to big events, we will be doing our annual gala that we do every year in early December. We are still working to lock in that date, but go ahead and keep that first week in December open on the calendar so that you're able to join us. And we do Shower Strike every year. That is an annual campaign that happens at the end of April every year. So get ready for that next year. We hope to have everyone here be able to join and participate in some way. So getting to that question, again, if we were not able to answer your question today, I apologize, but please do feel free to email us at info@wellawareworld.org, or just head to our website, wellawareworld.org. You can email us from there, find our contact information, and send us more questions. We are always happy to answer them. Before we close out today, Sarah or Mike, is there anything else you'd like to discuss?
I think we should do this again.
Yeah, Mike, how was your first webinar?
Really good.
Mike, you're a pro. We have our when we have our galas in person, which we weren't able to do this last year, but Mike typically comes to join, and you always have the chatter over the person who's trying to talk on the mic. But when Mike gets on the mic, the room is crickets.
Yeah.
I love it. Hopefully we can do that again this year. We'll see. But I'm just so grateful to everybody who's made this work possible. Everybody who believed in Mike and me in the very beginning, and contributed to this work, and the people that continue to contribute to this work, because it is It's amazing.
Yeah.
I
Go
can
ahead.
also say thank you so much for partners who have been with us from the beginning up to now. Keep on supporting us.
Yes, thank you all. Thank you, Mike and Sarah, for doing this for us and talking to everyone today. You two are what started all of this and brought us all on to continue doing this work together. So thank you for your passion around clean water, to Sarah and Mike, and to everyone watching who's made this work possible. We're so grateful for each and every one of you. And we will let y'all know next time this happens and you get to hear Mike speak a little bit more about the work. And we hope you all have a great remainder of your week. Talk soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.